The voices you hear on this tape are the voices of Robert and Joyce, mother and father of Ronnie, Randy, and Roderick. We are starting this movie in 1946. This is when Mother Joy, was pregnant with Ronnie. We're at Rondo Park, Canada, which is at the cottage of Joy's mother. This is Lois Gunter, at the time, Joy's sister. She's writing baby on the sand, as you can see, because we are expecting the baby within a few months. This would be about September, because we're closing up the cottage for a winter. Joy?
This is Rob and I, and we're thrilled to death because we'd been married 6 years and we hadn't had a child. This is my sister, Lois Gunter Campbell, and she is a couple months pregnant behind me. We're walking into the front of the cottage. This is Ollie Dorn, my cousin Elaine Anderson Dorn's husband. We're painting the cottage at Rondo Park. That's my darling dad, Frank Knopf's. Nice. That's the back of Frank Knopf's. Crystal, my older sister Crystal's husband.
By dad, she means Henry Gunter.
It's my sister Crystal. And those are the twins, Lauren and Warren Anderson, and Glenn Campbell, Lois's husband. Glenn's on the right. It's my mother and dad and baby Crystal, number 3. Crystal and Frank's daughter, first child. She's about 3.5 years old there. That's my cousin Elaine, myself, my sister Crystal, and Lois.
Mother Crystal, and baby Crystal, and sister Crystal. This looks like...
That's myself and Robert.
At the cottage?
Uh-huh. And that's my cousin Elaine. Elaine Anderson, Dorn. There we are again, all of us. Of course, Mama's teasing as always. Weren't those dresses horrible then? You had to wear a belt. Now they're smart enough to take the belt off. This is the Saturday before Ronnie was born. My sister-in-law, Robert's older sister Doris, Larry and Judy, and of course Lady Inkwell of Strye, our little black Cocker Spaniel. I was canning tomatoes and Doris came over. This is on Neff Road, 5721 Neff Road, our first home.
This is Dolores Strye Askew.
It's coming home from the hospital, Holy Cross Hospital, where Ron was born October the 1st, 1946. There's my sister Lois, who's so proud. She was his godmother, and she was still pregnant. She hadn't had Paul yet.
This is, that was Joy, Mother Joy, getting in the car with her little stitches. This is
big stitches.
This is Lois trying to get in with her big belly.
There he is. Our little boxer.
That's Ronnie. We're now in the dining room of our Neff Road house.
That's Aunt Aurelia Nichols, mother's sister, older sister. Of course, that's Mother.
You'll notice the address up there, 5721 Neff Road, Detroit. This is Joy coming out. This is a few.
Now, this is baptism day. The only time Ronnie wore a dress, or any of my other boys ever wore a dress. And that's my mother.
This is the 3 mothers. Lois, the godmother, Mother, the grandmother, and Joy, the mother.
This is at church, Queen of Peace in Harper Woods. That's
That was.
Joan, my dad, my mother, Glenn Campbell, Lois, and Shirley Gagner, Shirley Oaks Gagner.
This is myself taking care of Ronnie as usual.
In his nursery.
The nightly vigil.
He looked like our little Mohawk Indian, the way his hair had rubbed off when he was about 6 weeks old.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Deer season. This is deer season, November 5th. This is Joy and our new baby, Ronald. Ronald Emerson.
He was 10 pounds 4 ounces when he was born and 21 inches long.
This is a Christmas and her husband.
Phyllis and Bill Lane.
Janice. Janice is the oldest.
This is Ronnie again when he was about 3 months old.
Oh, this is Christmas, and we done the Christmas pictures yet. That's a 90-day wonder.
This is Christmas.
This is first Christmas with the baby, Ronald, on Neff Road. He hasn't even changed it.
Whoops.
He hasn't changed a bit.
Hey, sweetheart. He's our biggest ornament on our tree. That
In April of 1988, which happens to be about 42 years after the film started.
we will be married 48 years this August the 10th.
This tree came from Grandpa Gunner's camp up in northern Michigan. He supplied us with Christmas trees for about the first 20 years we were married, 18 years we were married. I think you had a picture of Phyllis Lane again, didn't you?
Yes.
That's my sister, Phyllis Strye Lane. This is Robert with the nightly chores again. This is the weekend chores. This is bathing. The baby's about, this is said right after Christmas.
I think he's right around 6 months old there. Well, he's between 4 and 6 months old, let's say. This is in the dinette on Neff Road.
We're not through with all the Christmas pictures yet.
He's going to slip here in a minute, and you'll see the camera go down.
I think he's only about 3 months old.
See how slim your dad was, boys? Whoop. He really loved his bath. Hi. Smile for your mama. There he is. The bright lights and everything. This is up to my dad's hunting camp in northern Michigan. At that time, we took a trip with Paul, who at that was 3 months,
Lois's Paul.
and Ronnie was 6 weeks older, and little Cindy, Shirley and Alphonse Gagner's little girl.
First baby.
This would be in January or February of 1947.
That's Lois. Joy and Lois are showing off their powers as skiers. They were world champion skiers at one time. In another life. Lois has her pair of skis that Grandpa Gunner bought. They're about 7 feet long. And we're up at Camp Rondo. No, not Rondo. Helena, which is the name of Grandpa Gunner's camp, Helena, up in Little Lake, Michigan. And here's John Paul Keeley. That's Joy. And sometimes it's hard to tell between Joy and her sister Lois. This is Paul, Mother Gunner, and Ronnie. Ronnie's on the right-hand side, Paul on the left-hand side. That's Paul.
This is up at old Grandma Gunner's house in Escanaba.
Old Grandma Gunner is Mother Joyce's grandmother.
There she is. Grandma Jenny Gunter, and the 4 generations there. Myself, Ron, my grandmother, and my mother. And there is Loie, my sister, who is the 4th mother, the godmother.
So we have mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and godmother. And that, as you might guess, is the dad of Ronald. Old Grandma Gunner thinks these are still pictures. She doesn't move around too much, but
There's Mother horsing around again. She's such a tease.
I think old Grandma there was about close to 80.
That's Paul and Ron and Grandma Gunter. She came from Sweden and met and married my grandfather, Michael Gunner, who had come from Luxembourg, Germany.
These pictures up in Escanaba, Michigan. At old Grandma's house, apartment.
There's my dad.
That's Henry Gunner and his...
And Ronnie and his grandma. Ron was the first grandson born. Myself, old Grandma Gunner, Aunt Marie Anderson, Elaine, my cousin's mother, my dad's sister, my sister Lois, and my dad again. This is Alphonse Gagner, his mother Mimi, and Cynthia, Shirley and Al's little girl, who was born in January the 8th, and Ronnie and my cousin Shirley Oakes Gagner. Alphonse is Janie Gagner Vogel's brother, who was my aunt. Janie Vogel was my aunt, Uncle Ralph's wife. Here we are up the hunting camp again.
Up at Helena.
There's Alphonse and Robert, and my mother has one of the babies in the window. It was cold. You see all the diapers hanging out there. We had 3 babies there. And no wash machine. There's my dad.
He's not wiping his nose, just waving like that.
There's Ronnie with my old ski cap on, and my mother.
This picture's taken through a window.
I had that cap when I was about 10 years old. Mother never threw anything away. There's Robert helping my mother out to the outhouse. It was cold. Tom.
This is Uncle Alphonse and Mother trying to pump water, which is impossible because at the time it was about 20 degrees. These are the chorus line.
Sigfrill Follies.
That's Lois, Mother Joy, and Shirley. We're back at home now. This looks like around Ron's birthday, about October 1, 1947. And
Alphonse Gagner is Ronnie's godfather. His birthday was the day after Ronnie's. Ron was born October the 1st, which is a day after his father. Robert Strye, September 30th, is his birthday. Ron's October the 1st, and Alphonse was October the 2nd.
I was sure he was going to be a ball player. Just the way he handled that ball. And this is Mother Joy still trying to teach the boy how to play ball. This is still in our Neff Road house.
Ronnie was a little bit afraid of the clicking of the camera. There we are up at camp at the cottage again at Rondo Park. It was called Escanaba, and everybody used to think it was Es Canada. And that's Gail Vogel, and she is my cousin, and Ronnie and
By
myself.
virtue of Uncle
Russ and Aunt
Russ.
Florence. My mother's brother, Russ. Her younger brother, Russ.
He really isn't crying here. He's just asking for something to eat.
This one, Ronnie's trying to walk. Not long afterward, he did. Ron walked at 10 months old.
This is our 1947 Mercury convertible. We're still at the cottage up in Rondo Park. That was Gail and Mother Joy. Ronnie's
We went up to do spring cleaning. We each had to clean our own room.
spring.
Dad had made 7 bedrooms that we each had a bedroom of our own, and we had to go up and take our mattress and spring and everything off and clean our own rooms.
These pictures aren't quite in sequence. If it's Memorial Day.
I'm not sure, but it's spring.
Well, he never opened the cottage before Memorial Day. But, this Memorial Day is only about 7 or 8 months old here.
He was a year old in October. This was the following May.
He's over a year old here?
Mm-hmm.
That means he's a year and a half old then.
Well, if he wasn't walking yet, it must have been not in sequence because it had to be the May after the October he was born.
So he's only about 7 or 8 months old.
Yeah. There's a spring out on the lawn from their bed. That's the way the beds used to be made and the springs made. Hi, Gail. That was the first words Ronnie said. He said goo. He used to call her goo.
That footboard was cut down too.
This is back home again. He's coming home, going for a walk, talking to me as fast as he can.
So this is in the summertime, so he's not...
He's about 9 months old here. That's the trouble in movies. You don't record the exact dates, and after all these years, we're guessing ages. We know approximately the year, but not the month. But the roses are out, so it has to be June or July. Looks like June. He just found out he had a tongue. And he loved the roses. He'd run over to the edge of the driveway and try and grab the roses, and I'd have to stop him, afraid he'd hurt himself. He's yelling now at the top of his voice, just to hear his voice.
This was in May. No, the spring clean was in May. This is in June. There's the 47 Mercury convertible. I'm thinking that this is our first new car after Ronnie was born.
This would be in July, over the 4th of July holidays. We're going away to see an old Army buddy of Robert's.
Air Corps. We're in Chicago at a amusement park. That's Ronnie's first horseback ride. He rode the horse real well for not having any previous training.
Ronnie would be 9 months old here.
This is my flying partner, Sid Suchard's little boy. That's Sid with his back to us, taking pictures, and his wife. Now he's taking pictures of me as I'm taking pictures of him. Now I'm taking Ronnie on a train ride, his first train ride ever. Another, same amusement park, I think, in Chicago. This is Sid Suchard and his little boy. I don't remember. Stephen. He was, this is his house in Chicago. This is Suchard's house in Chicago, his wife. Ronnie and Suchard. And this is Suchard's father, Grandpa Suchard. This is Sid. One of the nicest people I have ever met. This is Happy Ronnie. He's got teeth in his mouth already. This is Grandpa Suchard. That's Sid, his wife, and Joy. Suchard's boy's going to take our boy for a little ride. When we got home around July 6th or so, the first thing Ronnie had to do was cut the grass, because while we were gone it grew quite a bit. Handled the grass pretty well until he left home. This was his first start. This is Harry Askew, the wife of Aunt Doris Askew, my sister. This is Grandpa Strye, Tony Strye, father of Robert. We are at, and is this Aunt Doris's house?
No, it's our Neck Road house.
This is Aunt Doris again.
Judy.
Judy is now married also.
Judy Askew Weiss. She's married to Ray Weiss. Has two lovely girls, Jennifer and Wendy. This is Larry.
Larry is my godson.
He's married to Susan and has three lovely boys.
That's Grandpa Tony. Had a sweet tooth. Harry Askew, Uncle Harry. Grandpa with Judy. Larry in the back. Larry is always a cut-up. Was and is. Grandpa never smoked cigarettes. He's smoking one here because he's out of cigars. This is Miss America, Joy Strye, with her dad and Ronnie. This is a little neighbor girl. We don't know her name. She just stopped by. This is at the Grandpa Gunner's Rondo Park Beach. It's Lake Erie out in the back there. There's Ronnie. The little girl, we don't know who she is. This is,
This would be July or August again, of 47.
Way into, the kids are swimming, so I'd say it's around August or September. Grandpa Gunner died when he was only 62, and you can see this
October the 21st, 1958.
58. So it was about 10 years later after this picture, 11 years later. This is Grandpa Gunner, horsing around. She's got something.
She's got what they used to roll, what they called a rat in their hair, to roll their hair around, and that's her rat out of her hair. It was just like a piece of material that you rolled the edge of your hair around. And here she's bathing Ronnie and bathing herself, and she'll make him laugh so hard pretty soon that they're just about both hysterical. They sure loved one another. My mother died February the 2nd, 1981. There he is. He's having so much fun.
Well, we at least know the date of this picture. This is October 1st, 1947. Gee, 40 years ago. This is Ronnie's first birthday. These pictures were processed for video 40 years after they were taken with a little 8mm camera. This is Ronnie on his first birthday.
These pictures were a Christmas present from Rob to me, and it was a wonderful present.
This video.
There's my blue eyes. All the boys have such gorgeous blue eyes. My dad had real blue eyes. His Swedish eyes. I used to call them sky eyes. Ronnie had been walking a couple months by then. This was our first home. This was in color. The other ones were black and white. The film. I guess there were a couple Christmas that were in color too. My mother always used to give the boys a winter snowsuit for their birthday. That was one of their presents, and usually it was a weather winky. They're warm, and usually she bought them too big so they could get at least 2 years wear out of them.
This is still October 1st.
This playpen Robert made for Ron, and it was all hand done.
This is a 1947 Packard that we traded in when we got rid of the Mercury because we punctured a hole in the roof of the Mercury convertible. This Packard was called a 110.
Whoops. Oh, don't cry.
The playpen was a little oversized, but he was an oversized little baby.
That's our neighbor and was a close friend, Jane Vender. She was the second house over from us on Neff Road. I'm dressed up, so I think we must have been going to Mother's house for a birthday dinner. This is in our kitchen with Ron's first haircut.
His hair is being cut by Grandpa Strye, who was a professional barber at one time in his life.
Randy, Darla, do you notice the cookie jar up on the refrigerator? That was given to us when we were married as a wedding gift from the jeweler that we purchased our rings from. He didn't like that too much. Giving him anything to keep him still a minute. Beautiful, as Grandpa Tony would say. How old was Grandpa Tony then?
1947, he was born in 94, so 53.
Younger than us. It's back up to the hunting cabin again, up in northern Michigan, in Camp Helena.
This was in November of 1947. That's Grandma Gunner's dog, I guess.
We're leaving to start to go home again. We'd been there for probably a vacation. We'd only take 2 or 3 days off when we could, or when Rob got laid off, and we'd go up north and see my mom and dad.
This is the woods surrounding Camp Helena, which is on Highway 35 between Escanaba and Marquette. As you can see, it's a fairly warm day. Probably deer season, or this is one of Grandpa's barns out there. Still at Camp Helena. Just panning the surrounding area.
Here's Mother trying to give us some traveling money, and I'm trying to refuse it, but she'd never take no for an answer. Thank goodness we had that money, because we had a blowout on the way home and had to buy a new tire. She gave me $20. You could buy a tire for $20 then. The camp changed after that. There was a porch added in the front.
You'll notice that I have the Packard, that brand new Packard, while we were up there. This is Uncle Russ after deer season in our garage. He's skinning the deer he brought home.
Uncle Russ Vogel, my mother's youngest brother, Gail's dad. This would be Ronnie's second Christmas.
First Christmas. The pictures are out of sequence.
He's
This is still 1947.
Of course, Christmas of 1947, Rob. He's walking. He's 2.
He was 0 in 1946.
He was born in 1946 and 19...
He's 1-year-old, Johnny. He was 1 in 47, 2 in 48.
There's his old Raggedy Andy. Each one of the boys had a Raggedy Andy. And his drum. It's Ronnie's second Christmas. Hey, sweetie. He liked the sound of the camera. We couldn't keep him from walking towards it all the time. Now he wasn't afraid of it.
This is still the Neff Roadhouse.
There's Ronnie and his dad.
At the time of making these video out of the 8mm pictures, the quality of the film has deteriorated over 40 years. But the photographer makes no excuses for the picture quality.
I'm playing horsey with Ronnie, going up and down on my legs. He really loved it. So did the other boys. Whee! Uh-oh. Caught in the act. Now watch him scoot away. Now this is at Doris's house on Blackmore Road. It's Harry Askew and Inky's puppy, Taffy. There's Larry and Ron, Judy, Barbara.
Barbara Strye, that's my brother Norman above her there. This is little Elaine. That's Aunt Margie sitting in the back there. Was she smoking a cigarette?
I don't know. Yeah. That's Aunt Margie and Norman Strye, who we all call Jiggy.
And Doris.
And Ronnie. And Ronnie used to always call her Auntie Choo Choo because she babysat him a lot and she had a train going behind her
Elaine.
house.
That's little Elaine.
So that's the way he identified Doris.
Aunt Margie. Uncle Harry.
He's teasing Inky.
Little Barbara, little Judy, little Elaine,
Aww.
little Ronnie.
Ronnie didn't like height even then. He wanted down.
His Uncle Jiggy with a cigarette in his mouth.
Uncle Jig died at 52 years of age.
Little Larry.
Or was it 50? It could have been 50 years of age. 52.
That was Ronnie's first bottle of beer. We're voicing this tape 40 years later, and he's still drinking beer. Same bottle.
There's Inky. He looks so black you can't. She looks so black you can't even hardly see her. During the service, Doris and Harry took care of our dog Inky. And when we came back, their children loved her so much we just couldn't take her away from her.
There's Uncle Norman. Uncle Jiggy.
It's Taffy and Larry, and that's Inky and Harry. Inky didn't like to be teased very much.
That's,
There they are. There's Judy. Rob made that dash on He made one for Grandma and Grandpa Frankie because they had a dash on Fritz. And so he made one for our house there on Neff Road. There's Ronnie and his weather winky. Starting to fit him now. This is the second winter.
Ronnie had just got through shoveling the snow and was surveying it, looking it over, and making sure that we'd be satisfied.
This is the back of the house on Neff Road. This is my cousin Carol Vogel's wedding. There's Carol, and there's Uncle Benny Oakes, my sister Crystal, my mother, Frank. There's Uncle Benny. There's Aunt Florence Vogel, Russ's wife, Janie, Ralph's wife, Carol and Uncle Benny Oakes. That's my Uncle Joe Alf, my grandmother Vogel's brother. And that's Florence Schalke, my cousin Fern's mother-in-law, Howard Schalke's mother. There's my Uncle Ralph, who we called Love. And that's Mrs. Schalke and Uncle Joe Alf. And there's Joni and Aunt Marie Anderson. And there's Uncle Ralph there. I think that was Mr. Schalke.
It was.
Who was praying. And there's some of the faces I don't recognize. That's my Aunt Florence Alf. And there's Janice Vogel, my Uncle Bill Nichols, Aunt Reel's husband, Fern's father. That's Aunt Lizzie, Carol's mother, Elizabeth Vogel, who was married to Chester Vogel, my mother's oldest brother. This is Chet's daughter, Carol. That's my Aunt Aurelia, Aunt Rio, mother's oldest sister. That's Uncle Benny, Uncle Benny Oakes. It's Florence and Mother serving.
This is in 1948. The wedding was in 1948. We're on our way to Saskatchewan or someplace. I think we're going to...
See Phyllis.
My sister Phyllis lived up in Saskatchewan, Canada. And that's our 1948 Studebaker. This is the third new car we owned after we came out of the service. We had a 1947 Plymouth very briefly. This is self-serving. One of the outposts on our way to Canada.
These are artifacts.
That's a dirty cigarette in my mouth.
You notice your boy's finger, Dad, there? Your dad's finger? He had it there. No, he couldn't have had it. That's right. That's right. He couldn't have had it. That was his other hand. No, he lost his part of his finger in 1946.
More than 48. These are just old tourist stop, and this is a brewery up in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the brewery now. That's a large statue of the namesake of the beer. So I'm standing alongside of it just to give you an idea how tall the statue was. This is the same outpost, or tourist attraction. A lot of people don't know where the Mississippi River starts. This is one of the channels way up in, well, I guess we're up in
Minnesota, evidently.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's one of the finest looking cars we've ever owned. This is up in Minnesota Flyway. These are all ducks out in the water here. This is in, let's see, it has to be ducks are probably going south now.
Would have been Nebraska.
Huh?
Would have been Nebraska.
No, it's up in Minnesota.
Well, I
The
mean,
next after that is Canada. Next going north.
because Nebraska seems so desolate like that.
Nebraska's south and west. This is up by Fortis Anderson's house. This,
We must have been sure proud of that car. I wonder if it was paid for yet. My sister Loie got a Studebaker just like that. We both had matching cars. Only hers was a different color.
it's a lot of wasted film, but at the time we enjoyed it. I had never seen so many ducks in my life at one place. That's because we didn't even know about wildfowl Bay up here in Bay City, Saginaw. That's a bird sitting on his back, as you can see.
Are these wild horses?
Oh, they could have, over in Wild Lake out west, they were just out to pasture, grazing. The ducks were so, these are wild ducks, but they're so tame from flying back and forth every year that they come right up to you. We're having a picnic, we're at picnic grounds at the time.
Ronnie's about 5 here.
Some more pinto horses. They're not wild, they're just out to pasture. It makes them wild when they're out there, though.
We're going out west here.
Yeah. They're in the Dakotas. North Dakota. These are called the Badlands.
It's so much more beautiful to look at it and be there than it is to just see it like this. The panorama of it all isn't there, and the colors.
This is up in Custer country. I think we're trying to see moose's hoof prints. This is a year later in our, I guess that's our 19 48 or 9 Oldsmobile. Now we're going to Yellowstone.
That's Devil's Tower in the back there.
That's some goat horns on the front of the Oldsmobile.
That's a better picture of Devil's Tower.
That's the nicest car we ever owned.
This is Ronnie's first trip out west.
He was the other one that we just passed by.
It's Robert and the Ranger.
This is one of the scenic points of Yellowstone Park. Let's see, we're in I don't think this is Wyoming. No, it isn't. It could be in Montana.
Is that Mount Rushmore?
There's 4 faces in the mountain. Ronnie always liked the outdoors, climbing around the mountains. Here it is 35 years later, and he still lives out there.
Ron couldn't take the steps. He had to go the different way, the hard way.
That was a switchback in the mountains that I was trying to show you back there. Here's a deer in velvet. That's a fence between us and the deer. But Ronnie had to get through. Beautiful country out there. I'm almost sure this is in Montana. At the moment, I don't know where we're going.
We're going to Yellowstone National Park.
That was Yellowstone.
This is petrified forest.
I think them were elk out in the background.
There's my cowboy. Probably his first cowboy hat. Who knew that he'd end up in Arizona, a cowboy?
I think this could be Wyoming because we stopped in Cheyenne. This is we're in the northern part of the United States. That's a tunnel carved right in the mountainside.
I would guess where these highways are now, they're super highways. 3-4 lanes. At this time, Rob and I would have been married probably around 12 years.
That's Cody, Wyoming. That's a picture of Buffalo Bill Cody, or a statue. So this is one of the dams out in Wyoming, Colorado, Boulder Dam, or what, I don't know. Just guessing. Could be Boulder Dam.
Yellowstone.
Pictures are out of sequence. We went to the North Country, turned south, came back to Wyoming. This is the eastern side of Yellowstone, so this would be in, again, Montana. These are the famous springs, hot springs of Yellowstone. That's how clear the water was right there. we turned all of our film over to a video processor, and without having any other means of identification, he spliced all this together. These are all scenes that we took throughout the park. It's a beautiful park. The hot springs pop up all over the ground. Indians used to come here and take baths. Beautiful car, made like a tank.
Ooh. This bear is coming right up to the car.
We're sitting in a video studio at the moment recording this many, many years after we took the pictures.
This is Old Faithful, and it goes off so many times during the day on the hour, and we're waiting for it to. There it goes. That was quite an experience to see that. You wonder how God and nature works. I guess that's why it's called Old Faithful. Look at the rainbow. There's Robert. See all the hair he had? There's Ronnie playing in the sand there.
To show you how they're out of sequence, this has to be around 1952 or 3.
The important thing is that they're on tape for you boys for the future.
See, we'll be going back to Rochester where the ducks were. And then we'll be seeing Anderson. That's 1951. 1951. Ronnie was we're away. Ronnie's about 6 or 7, so this should be about 1953.
Look at that beautiful sunset.
Now we're at another tourist camp, or tourist, something or other. Ronnie loved all animals, dogs, horses, deer. He'd have got out and pet the bear if we would have let him out of the car.
I never realized how dark my hair was until I see these now. All the boys were quite blonde like their dad when they were young. And then as they got older, their hair got dark like mine, except for Andy. His hair is still sort of like a medium blonde. It's getting darker. Signing off for now. More to continue.
The first tape is done. He's still doing transplants.